G'day folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another crazy dose of EV and net zero insanity in MGUY EV news for Sunday the 16th of November 2025. Be sure to follow me on the usual socials for more content, links in the description, and please make sure you're subscribed and have enabled all notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos. And if you'd like to support this channel, why not buy me a coffee? Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. So the first story we're going to look at today is quite staggering really, because it is showing that the cost to fill up an EV is basically the same as, if not more expensive than the cost to fill up a regular car with petrol or diesel. And one of the things we were always told was that it's going to be so much cheaper to fill up your EV by charging it on your driveway than by filling it with regular fuel such as petrol or diesel. But that, certainly in the UK, is not the case, and the figures are quite astonishing. Here's the article: Used EV market in need of a boost as charging prices freeze. The AA's September recharge report is highlighting the need to help bolster the used EV market to help the government reach its net zero targets. Recent research outlined in the UK's first EV Readiness Index highlighted that 90% of private sales in 2024 were used cars, so they cannot benefit from the official grant scheme. Consumers who exclusively buy used cars have called for incentives to help them participate in the move to electric vehicles with either a similar grant, an interest-free loan, or removing VAT from the purchase price. Well, all of this is a bit irrelevant really, because this is just asking for more handouts from the government. But what's interesting is this table here, which looks at the rates of the different rates of charging and the cost, and comparing it to petrol. And as you can see, domestic charging, like 7 kilowatts, it takes you all night to charge if you're lucky. 5.88 pence per mile. But as soon as you get up to slow charging, which is 8 kilowatts, which is barely any different, you're looking at 11.3 pence per mile. And look down here at petrol, 11.8 pence per mile. And if you're looking to charge at any of the faster speeds, fast, rapid or ultra rapid, the prices only go up: 13.8 pence, 16.5 pence and 17.6 pence per mile. Way higher than the 11.8 pence to just fill your car with petrol. It's absolutely unbelievable. When you do have some off-peak rates, you can see that some of them are still cheaper if you can charge off-peak. But the difference, I mean, there's virtually no difference. I mean, it's certainly not cheaper, and it's certainly more inconvenient. You have to stand around waiting for it to charge for hours at a slow charger, or even a level 2 charger, which is marginally quicker. But the argument that EVs are cheaper to run than petrol cars is just out the window, quite frankly. And that's not surprising, because the cost of electricity is so much greater than it used to be, thanks to net zero, thanks to renewables, thanks to unreliable solar panels and wind turbines. Electricity is now more expensive, and it's going to make it more expensive to fill up your EV than it is just going to a regular gas station and filling up with petrol. Not only that, but it'll take you way longer, less convenient, more of a pain in the backside. So good luck to those of you who've bought an EV. I tell you, it's really not looking like a great idea at the moment. Next article here, another slap in the face to EV owners in London in particular, is that they're going to have to pay the congestion charge, just another tax on EVs. So the benefits of buying an EV are just evaporating by the day. EV owners to pay London congestion charge from January 2026. Private hire operators which have invested in battery-powered cars because they were advised to, said it was an own goal by Sir Sadiq Khan that would make air pollution worse, and it would put people off buying EVs. Electric car drivers will have to pay the London congestion charge for the first time, a move one private hire operator described as a major own goal that would undermine Sir Sadiq Khan's green credentials. He doesn't care about the green credentials, he cares about money. getting the money in from the congestion charge. Owners of battery-powered models pay nothing to drive in the central London zone, but will have to pay the discounted rate of £13.50 a day, yikes, from January the 2nd. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's what, 20 Aussie dollars a day? It's a partial climb down from an earlier plan to make electric car drivers pay £18 a day, the same amount that petrol and diesel car owners will pay, up from 15 a day at present. The congestion charge, introduced in 2003 to ease traffic in London, is enforced between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays and between noon and 6 p.m. at weekends and on bank holidays. Gosh, I've lost count of the number of taxes and additional charges that are being levied on EVs at the moment. We've got the paper mile, and we're having taxes placed on charging stations. Both of these stories I've covered this week. And now, congestion charge. Welcome to the club, people. Oh, and it's not going to cost you any less to fill it up with electricity. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but seriously, this is a joke. Another very funny story here. Obviously, this applies more to electric cars that have more gadgets and technology than your regular petrol car. Just a funny story. Is your car telling you to speed? Electric and hybrid owners say built-in tech is instructing them to do 80 miles per hour in school areas, and some models might speed up automatically. Brilliant. State-of-the-art technology in electric and hybrid cars has come under fire for advising drivers that they can do 80 miles per hour in 30 mile per hour zones, including past schools. The TSR system reads signs with special cameras and notifies drivers with audio and visual cues about surrounding conditions, including speed limits. However, online forums are full of owners complaining that the feature, which now comes as standard in the premium £55,000 Mazda CX-60 and £37,000 Volvo XC40, has been misreading signs and setting off alarms to alert them that they are in 80 miles per hour, 90 miles per hour and even 100 miles per hour zones, which don't exist under UK road laws. Oh, brilliant. One driver reported being advised he could do 80 miles per hour in a Sainsbury's car park. Another said the problem causes mayhem around schools, while a third commented, so far it has read 10 as 70, 19 as 90 and 30 as 80. It's really dangerous. Look, this is not related specifically to EVs, obviously, but it's a funny story anyway. So here in Australia, if you don't meet the government's punishing new vehicle efficiency, they call it efficiency standards, but it's effectively an emissions standard. It's got bugger all to do with efficiency. It's all to do with emissions. Then you are on the hook for some fairly hefty fines. And one way of avoiding those fines is to offset them or use other car manufacturers to offset them. Emissions credits, in other words. And that's exactly what's happening here. So if the automotive industry here, or the automotive market in Australia, wasn't in bad enough condition, this is just going to make it worse. BYD unlocks new revenue stream by selling emissions credits to other car brands. Though the exact marks are unknown, BYD Australia has confirmed it is in discussions with various brands to sell its NVES credits. BYD has confirmed it will sell credits it accrues from the new vehicle efficiency standard to other car brands as another revenue stream in Australia. Speaking to Drive, BYD Australia boss Stephen Collins said other car brands have approached the Chinese electrified car specialist about purchasing credits to avoid penalties for breaching fleet emissions targets, but would not be drawn on specifically which marks. Now we're obviously in a good position with NVES, Collins said. We haven't gone knocking on doors, we've had people knocking on our door. Well, it's not surprising because these auto companies are going to be stung with huge fines for every single car that it sells over and above the emissions or efficiency standard that they're proposing. It's exactly what Tesla did in the US for years. You know, they were able to make a huge amount of money from selling credits effectively to other automakers. It's just money for nothing, basically. We're just working through that, selling NVES credits. The NVES was introduced in Australia earlier this year with enforcement of fines and credits from July the 1st, 2025. Tailpipe emissions targets are split between passenger cars that include SUVs and light commercial vehicles like utes and vans, with the threshold tightening every year to encourage the sale of cleaner vehicles. Well, hopefully that won't last long, because in another piece of news, which I will talk about in another video probably, the official opposition party here in Australia, the Liberal National Coalition, has dumped net zero. Halle freaking Luya is all I can say. They've decided that they're going to go to the next election, which will be in a couple of years' time, 2028, I think. They will go to that election with a policy to completely dump the net zero policy that's currently being forced on us by the Labour government. And that will mean that things like renewable energy and these punishing emissions restrictions will go if the Australian public is sensible enough to vote out this Labour government and get them to vote in the coalition, which is now pledging to end net zero. So that is pretty remarkable. It's been a tumultuous week in Australian politics. I haven't bored you guys with it because I'm not quite sure how interested you'd be in the machinations of Australian politics. It's all very dull most of the time, but this week has been quite interesting, and we've ended up at the right result, that we now have a choice between Labour and the Greens, which are proposing net zero, and Liberal National Coalition, which is pledging to abolish it, which is fantastic. Another very funny story from the UK Telegraph. This awful JQ thing is taking over the place once held by Range Rovers in the UK. They're calling it the Temu Range Rover, which is hilarious. China's Temu Range Rover steals a march on British rivals. The JQ7 is turning heads in the school park and beats the Evoque on price too. Range Rover is facing an exodus of customers switching to a cheaper Chinese rival in a fresh sign of the disruption gripping the car market. The British motor brand is facing a threat to its dominance from China's new JQ7 vehicle, a compact SUV which retails for around £10,000 less than Range Rover's flagship Evoque and Velar models. The JQ7 was the UK's best-selling Chinese car in October, God help us, despite only launching here in early 2025. It is also proving a hit on social media, particularly among Gen Z drivers, who have affectionately named it the Temu Range Rover, a slang term referring to a Chinese shopping site known for its cheap copies of luxury goods. On Friday, one expert claimed JQ's success was a sign that the Range Rover yummy mummy era feels over. Well, Jaguar Land Rover is in a world of trouble. If it's struggling to sell Range Rovers as well as completely trashing its Jaguar brand, there ain't much left for them to make any money on. So, yeah, good luck with that. All right, that's it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Bye for now. If you'd like to support this channel and display your anti-EV credentials to your Tesla-owning neighbours at the same time, why not buy some awesome MGUY merchandise, like this mug, this baseball cap, or this t-shirt. Each high-quality item sports the MGUY No EVs sign, and they're all made to order, perfect for irritating the hell out of your local EV zealots. Visit store.mguy.tv or click the link in the description to check out the full range of products. And of course, you can always just buy me a coffee. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Thanks very much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any tips or stories, go there. If you'd like to watch another video, go there. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, go there. And please subscribe to the channel.